Hi guys, and welcome back to Rav's Retreat, which is of course the wood turning section of my YouTube channel. Welcome back. In this video I'm going to introduce you to a finishing technique that I personally discovered 3 or 4 years ago. It's a fantastic finishing technique. For those that haven't tried it, if you view some of my previous videos, or if you look down the list, you'll see that there's a load of videos with some of my work on. If you look at most of the finish that's used on that, it is this particular finishing technique. It's called the Beal buff technique, or the Beal buff finishing system. Been using it for 3 or 4 years. Fantastic. Gives you a lovely shiny finish without it appearing too plasticky. It's a lovely warm shine without it being glass-like or plastic-like. Doesn't give you that what's the word? Imitation shine, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's get on. What you need is this Arbor thing. Now I've tried this. I've got quite a few different chucks, Axminster chucks and one-way chuck, which is on now, and several chucks, and this particular Arbor thing has managed to fit in them all. You expand the jaws, fit it in, tighten the jaws back up, and it all runs nice and neat. You'll see if I just turn the it all runs nice and true with no problems. Right then, the first buff we're going to put on, and it is a buff, it's not a wheel. Some call them wheels, but their actual names are buffs. If you'll just excuse me for a while, I'm just going to have to drop the camera down onto my stomach, and hopefully it should pick this up what I'm doing. Basically, you just rotate the chuck a couple of times like that, and once the threads get hold, you can then just rotate the buff. Just take it up snug, and when you start the lathe up, you need to be spinning this buff at anywhere roughly between 1800 and 1200. So I would say the minimum 1200, the maximum 1800. I think Beal actually recommends about 1800. Personally, I run it at about 1700. Over the years, I've found that seems to be the more or less the ideal speed. One thing I will say though is that if you're using, if you're trying to finish a delicate piece or a very soft wood, maybe like monkey puzzle, Chilean pine, stuff like that, Norfolk Island pine maybe, you might like to run it a bit slower, 1200 or maybe 1000 RPM. Basically it makes the buff that little bit softer. There's not as much centrifugal force on it, and it does make it a little bit softer. This is the first one. This is what's called the Tripoli wheel. You can't really get mixed up. As you can see, it says Trip on it for Tripoli. You would spin this up. So there we are, 1700 RPM. That's the usual speed that I use. You would apply the Tripoli bar, if I can get this out one-handed somehow. Here we go, that's the Tripoli bar. Some may know it as Jeweler's Rouge. You don't need a great deal, you just and that's more than enough. Again, more than enough. One thing I will say though, guys, is if you are going to use this, if you are going to purchase it and use it, make sure you've got a good respirator. These wheels do give off quite a lot of fluff, especially at first. They give off loads of fluff. Once you've used them a few times it will settle down somewhat, but even then they still give it off. So do make sure you've got a good respirator. You don't want to be breathing in that fluff. It will knacker your lungs up big time. Right then, that's the first wheel. That wheel would basically, Tripoli is a very fine abrasive. It would smooth the wood, you might say. Make it nice and smooth. Right, you would then undo that wheel. And you would use the next one, which is the white diamond wheel. If you'll just bear with me. It's very important as well, guys, not to mix these buffs up. What I do is I keep them in separate bags so that they're not mixed up. You can't use the Tripoli wheel for the white diamond, and you can't use the white diamond, you know, you can't contaminate each buff. Use one, you know, the white diamond buff for white diamond, Tripoli for Tripoli, you know. This is made out of a softer material. It's a lot softer. You would spin this up again. Roughly to about 1700. You would apply the white diamond in a similar way. You need very little. In fact, you would need less contact with the bar to the wheel than you did for the Tripoli. You need very, very little white diamond on. If you do apply too much, it will actually work its way into the grain of the wood, and you'll end up with white, you know, white diamond stuck in the grain, which obviously is not good. Basically, the white diamond we use to polish the wood, and it also removes any excess Tripoli that's still on the workpiece, but basically it's polishing the wood. You would then remove that one. Bear with me again. Here, by the way, that's the white diamond bar you get with it. That'll last you years. You need very, very little. You know, just a second or two contact with the wheel is more than enough. So, we would then move on to the third and final wheel, which is this one. This is the final wheel, or the final buff. And this one is the wax wheel. As you can see, it says wax. Again, just offer it up. Couple of spins. Spin it up. There you go, that's 1700 RPM. Well, actually, there we go. and you would offer the, when I can find it, where are you? The Carnauba wax. I'll get it out for you. Now you're probably going to be thinking, wow, that is not a lot of wax to give you. Well, it doesn't look a lot, but that will last you a number of years. You need very, very little. Watch, I'll show you. All the amount you need is, that's all you need. Maybe and that's as much as you need. I'll just spin it down. One thing I will say, guys, is if you do put too much Carnauba wax onto the wheel, when you do start applying the workpiece to the wheel, you will start getting smears in the finish. Instead of a nice even coat, you will start getting smearing, which is basically, it's telling you that there's too much wax on the wheel. As I said, just a couple of times across the wheel with the Carnauba stick is more than enough, and you will get a lovely finish from it. And basically that's it. As you can see, this wheel's very soft, the final wheel. It's a really soft cloth. This again, you can spin down to about 1200. I find that anything below 1200 and there's not enough friction created to melt the wax properly, it doesn't seem to flow properly. So I usually leave it at about 1200. And basically that's it. It will give you a lovely, a beautiful finish. When it's done properly, the first couple of times you use it, you know, maybe it's probably better to try it on a couple of old turnings or something, get a feel for it. But once you get your hand in, it produces a lovely, lovely finish. It really does. A lovely, deep, warm shine. Beautiful. Right, that's it, guys. I'll end this video here. There is actually another section I'm going to show you in the next video that is still regarding the Beal buffing system. So I'll end this video here, make a new video and show you that. Right, I'll catch you in a bit, guys. Take care in your workshops. Watch those fingers and eyes. Bye bye.